Hey there, and welcome to another tips and tricks video for Factorio. I'm Xterminator, and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to go over 12 tips, tricks, and features you may not know about. I've done several of these videos in the past, definitely worth checking those out, but I'm here again with even more. So we're going to start with probably the coolest of them all, is you can actually launch yourself into space temporarily in a rocket with a car, tank, or train as the rocket cargo. Completely in vanilla. I am using a cheat mode mod just to give me like free resources and stuff, but that does not affect the ability to do this whatsoever. So what you need to do is have a rocket ready. Make sure you have auto launch turned off. You do not want this checked. And then you can put in either a train, a car, or a tank. I'm going to go ahead and do a train. And then you stand next to the silo and you hit enter, and it will stick you in the silo, and then you launch. And once it launches, the camera will follow the rocket and go up into space, and then temporarily, and then you will be dropped back down. But it's still a really cool thing you can do here that I think a lot of people may not know about. And there we go. So it just tells us we didn't launch a satellite, but we are back here now. So if you kind of want to just take a little rocket ride, it's pretty awesome. The second one is also with a rocket. If you didn't know, it is listed, but some people still don't realize this. If you stick a fish in a rocket, you actually can complete one of your achievements. And again, it should be listed in the achievements thing, but you know, some people may not realize that. It should be listed here somewhere. Here we go. So long, thanks for all the fish is what we're going to get. And there we go. So you can get that achievement. Now on to number 3. You can daisy chain and pass science packs through science labs. This was introduced, or this is more used rather, in 0.15 and 0.16, but it does work pretty well up to a point. So I'm just going to rotate him so he works. We will need to obviously do some sort of research here. So I'm just going to go ahead and reset all the technologies, and then we can go ahead and do a research. And you'll see he is passing these through, and all these are researching, which is pretty awesome. And it will pass multiple packs. Obviously, I just did a red research, but it will pass any number of packs. Now, I said this only works up to a point. If you make it too huge, especially if you make your labs faster, it will get to a point where the labs are actually stuck passing packs, like more than they're actually being able to do research, which, obviously does create a bit of a problem. Okay, now on to number 4. You can actually read an entire patch richness by just wiring one miner that's on the patch. So if we just click on this miner, I've taken a wire, a logistic red or green wire, and wired it to a power pole, and just set it to read entire patch. You can just read this mining drill if you'd want. But I'm doing entire patch, and now if we look at the power pole, this is outputting this entire patch richness, which we can confirm by looking here. Now, obviously, you can just look here. If you're doing it just for visual things, it probably is better to look here. But if you want some sort of smart system or something that hooks into your main base, then this is super useful. You can also, of course, just do it for the mining drill as well. And number 5 is you can actually get free wire. Free red or green wire when you blueprint something that has it in it. When bots place down objects, they do not actually use red or green wire like physical pieces. So I'm just going to take this out of my inventory. You can see I have no red or green wire in my inventory. If I blueprint this, and I have some personal robots in my armor, and then place it down, and there you go. We get all this for free. Now, it is important your bots do it. If you blueprint it and then you place it, you obviously need to put the wires in. But if you let bots do it, they will just do this for free without taking any actual materials, which is pretty awesome. The next one is you can quick replace signals, which I constantly forget to do, but it is very helpful if you can remember to do it. So like a chain signal, you can just click on top of it to place a rail signal and vice versa. Instead of having to go that extra step and tear it up and then place one, you can simply just click straight on top of it like that. You can also quick replace belts, underground belts, and splitters. And this was introduced in 0.16, which is pretty awesome. Sometimes it's a little bit frustrating, but usually it's quite helpful. So I can just literally drag this bell over this and it will just quick replace over the entire thing. You can do it, obviously, splitters straight on top, and underground as well will work in the sense that they will automatically tear up the space in between them here. If I do this, you can see it also just tears up this space. And you can do this as well, like splitters over undergrounds or undergrounds over splitters and vice versa. Also, there is introduced in 0.16 is the filter splitter. And I mention this because it is a fairly recent update in regards to the grand scheme of the Factorio development, so some people may not know about it still. If you click on the splitter, you never used to be able to do this. If you click on the splitter, you can set all types of priorities. So you can set input priorities to left or right side. You can set output priorities to left or right side. And you can also, for output, set filters. So like, say I want this to only output copper on the top side, then that's all it will do, and it will not output anything else to the top side. So on and so forth. I actually made a video going over this in much more detail if you want to check that out. Next up, you can hook an offshore pump to the logistics network. I actually didn't know this until somewhat recently, because I've never had a use for it personally, but you can actually have offshore pumps here hook into the logistics network. If you just go into here and hit connect, you can actually use logistic conditions for these offshore pumps, and then obviously wire conditions as well. But it's something you may not think about, which could be useful in specific situations. Next up, along with the offshore pump, is you can actually landfill over an offshore pump that already exists, like in water, and it will still work, and it will actually change its name here to a water well pump now. And I'm going to clear this condition so it can actually work, but if we take some pipe, you'll see this is still pumping water with full functionality, even though there's no actual water here. However, if you do tear this up, you can't replace it here, but if you leave it, this will still work as is. Next, you can burn wood boxes and wooden power poles as fuel. So we have some furnaces here, and I'm going to go ahead and stick a wood box in. You can see it doesn't have that high of a fuel value, but it will burn, as well as wooden power poles, which I think is pretty great. And also, a little thing with the wooden power poles, you actually, if you throw in a copper ore or plate to make a small electric pole here, you can actually get more fuel value out of this than the wood itself. Because wood is a fuel value of 4 megajoules, and so is a power pole, but you get 2 power poles per craft. So if you just throw in some copper cable, you actually can double the fuel value of your wood if you want to. And just to confirm, you do get 2 wood planks from 1 raw wood, so that is a good conversion as well. Just a little interesting fact there. And then last, and this is kind of a bonus, but I am counting it because it can be just useful to know, is that fluids will actually back drain into a building when something is torn up. And I didn't know this, again, until recently, which is really nice because I was being super careful, like not to tear stuff up, but it will actually back drain if there's room. So if we go ahead and turn this, you can see here, I'm actually going to quickly stick a little void on this guy. There we go, just so we can drain this out. This guy should drain out here pretty quick. Just make sure you can see it's draining down here. I just want to make sure this drains out. And there we go. Okay, so this guy's empty. If we tear this up, there's fluid in these pipes here, right? If we tear these pipes up, you would think it would disappear, but it will actually back drain into the oil refinery. And this will work with chemical plants and stuff as long as it can, accept the fluid that's actually back draining into it. So I haven't actually lost this, and then now if I go to place a chemical plant again, it's going to be able to use this fluid that has back drained into here, which is pretty awesome. So there you go, guys. There is, I believe that was 12 tips, tricks, and features you may not know. I hope you found these helpful and interesting. I really like the rocket ones, and some of these are just really useful little tricks that you may not have thought of. And I will list these down in the description as well, so you can just see a full list. If you have any questions or any other suggestions for tutorials or other tips and tricks, that you may think of that I missed, let me know down in the comments. I do hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.